Welcome in, Joe Ostrowski, Ryan Horvat with you on, I don't know, I'll find out in a second. Every Wednesday we do a show, and we got a lot happening on the NFL. Coaching changes, of course, Championship Sunday. We'll preview that. A lot to maybe look back at. Let's say a little to look back at, because we always like to look ahead, especially in college football with Horvey here. He had the Saturday morning show on the BetMGM network. Horvey, do we have a name for the show or what? It is in your hands. It was put in your hands last week. Do we have an answer?
I think we go with Cluck and Cover.
Yeah.
Brought it up to my buddies back home. They all like that one. Family back home likes that one. I have like a group of friends at the local gym. Granted, they're all 75 years old. I'm not going to lie, it sucks because my favorite part after the workout is the 25, 30 minutes where you're just alone in the sauna. But now that we, at least for the next 11 weeks or so, don't have jobs really, I thought that if I went at lunchtime, I would avoid like the crowd, but everybody's at the gym right now because
January,
right.
Yeah.
We'll see if that lasts February, March. But so the sauna has been absolutely packed. Everybody in there is about 75 years old. And so they're all my buddies now. And I brought up the podcast and everybody liked that name. So I think that we go with Cluck and Cover.
So what was the demo, would you say, that you hit there? Because we were brought up in the business as young producers working our way on air. It was 25-54, 25-54. And then over the years, I've heard a lot of bosses say, well, we want to shoot for a younger demo than 25-54. What would you say the sauna demo is?
Like 75 and above. Everybody's retired.
So if they approve, like, okay, we're good.
Yeah, I mean, where I'm at here in the DMV, Washington, D.C., Bethesda, Maryland area, most people have jobs. And so it was, I mean, nobody was working or a lot of government jobs. So everybody was at the gym just all hours. But now everybody's went back to work. So it's pretty much just me and the retirement club. So it is an older demographic, but the younger, my cousins and my buddies back home, they all like Cluck and Cover as well, which is funny because my mother, it's her last year, but she works at, I won't give the name, but she works she works at a detention center in Illinois.
What is that demo saying?
In the Chicagoland area. They like Cluck and Cover as well. But what's funny is all the guards there, especially the guys that work overnight, they're like, hey, is Ryan doing some work with Joe and Sam? And everybody, huge fans of Chicken Dinner. And I sent you guys, no BS, no bullshit. I sent you guys the text message from my mother. And this is like 15 to 20 people now that have asked her about the podcast. So moving on up, like the Jeffersons in the Chicagoland area. Word's getting out, Chicken Dinner. And everybody, big fans. So I think we go with Cluck and Cover.
Okay, we're getting the approval from the old men with shrinking balls in the sauna and those at the detention center. I mean, that's where we're looking to hit. So I like it. And Cluck and Cover, you've got the betting angles with obviously covering the point spread. Cluck, the chicken dinner comp there, like that comes into play. I like it. It makes all the sense in the world. I like it. Good call, Horvey. Good call. Yeah. Cluck and Cover moving forward. Let's see if I can remember to say that moving forward. Okay, so you've got Cluck and Cover here on the Chicken Dinner Network. Follow Ryan on X at Ryan Horvat. Chicken Dinner, chickenxdinner. I'm Joe Ostrowski at Joe Ostrowski. Got to get you some merch, man. I just ordered mine a day or two ago, and a lot of people are getting those orders in. The best way is go on the Chicken Dinner Twitter, hit beacons, and then the direct link is there. But if you're looking for a URL, it's bet-chicken-dinner.printify.me. But I'm looking forward to that gear showing up. Now we've got Cluck and Cover. I'll tell Sam we need a Cluck and Cover shirt or hoodie that you've got to put up there as well. And I think they've got baby blankets. I know somebody bought one. We're past those days. You're not going back to those days, are you? I couldn't imagine changing diapers again.
No, you know what's funny though? Anytime we go back home, my cousins and everybody else, everybody's starting to have babies. So, you start like we'll get like baby fever, and then me and my wife will talk about it. I mean, I just hit 40, so it's better just to be like the aunt or the uncle and just babysit the kids, right? You could be the cool aunt, the cool uncle, and then you get to give them back. But no, man, Nathan's going to be 13 years old. Not until September, luckily. So we do have a little bit of time before he hits the teenage years, but 12 years old. So I think those days are way behind us. But hey, it's always a great gift. And we know people constantly having kids. So I like the baby blanket idea.
Babies like sex. We don't have any say in any of this. It's not our decision. Like you can give your input, but as far as true decision makers, like we understand, we really don't have much of a say.
No say whatsoever, really.
Yep. You're on YouTube. Hit that thumbs up button. Make sure you get in the comments. Something comes to mind, Horvey. I think something will actually. We'll ask people a question to reply in some of the comments. And that's where we got a lot of people also checking in Cluck and Cover on the show last week. Subscribe on YouTube at betchickendinner. Again, thumbs up over there. All right. You're a big college football guy. I would guess, and maybe you would disagree, I would guess that college football is your favorite sport. Unfortunately for you, you spent way too much time covering Wisconsin. The Wisconsin Badgers, it's a bad state with them right now.
Yeah.
But I want to get your takeaways with what just happened. With Indiana winning the title, they enter that game more than touchdown favorites. I wouldn't say they dominated in the game. You get Miami to cover. Ooh, that was tough if you had the under. The over ends up hitting because of everything that occurred in that fourth quarter, and you've got Mendoza as the Heisman winner. We're trying to figure things out, and a lot of coaches are in this transfer portal era as things are changing so much year to year. What did this season mean to you? What are your takeaways, if any, on how we can bet this sport moving forward now?
Yeah, my biggest takeaway, man, is how much it's changed, right? I mean, you look at Indiana, and 2 years ago when Cignetti gets the job, the people that had heard of him knew that he could coach, but a lot of people thought that the guy was insane, not only because of the press conference where he has the quote, I win, Google me, but then he takes the microphone at the basketball game and he's like, pretty much, F Michigan, F Ohio State, and we're like, this guy, has he lost his mind? This is Indiana. Growing up, man, in the Midwest, I didn't even realize Indiana had a football team. But it's changed so much where now, and it's kind of the same really in college hoops where, I mean, Duke, last year they make the run to the Final Four with a bunch of one and dones, but they had Cooper Flag. But look at these teams, these teams that Samson's recruiting and like these Houston teams, obviously, it's a lot of transfer portal players. They're all 21, 22, 23 years old. They're grown-ass men, and that's what we saw with Indiana, not only this year, but last year. And we'll see it again next year. They already got their quarterback for next year in Hoover, right? Like, rather than recruit these 18, 19-year-old kids where you never know what you're going to get. That's why I never really cared so much, man. Like when I'd be on the message boards like 10, 15 years ago, but I never really cared so much about the 4-star, 5-star recruits and everybody getting all bent out of shape because I'll never forget as a Notre Dame fan being excited about Jimmy Clausen, right? And then he shows up and he doesn't look like a 5-star. But it's just changed so much, and that's how Indiana's competed and how they won the national title this year. That was pretty much a college football all-star team. Mendoza was really solid at Cal. The problem was he didn't have a very good offensive line. And that's another reason why Indiana won last night, that defense and how good they were in the trenches. I mean, Miami's defensive line, and Miami really the same story though, right? Like it's a bunch of transfer portal players. We saw that last year with Cam Ward, and they start off 8-0, 9-0, and then they fall down the stretch. But I think that's how you win now. And that's why Clemson, I know they went to the playoff last year, but this year they were a big disappointment. And they had 15, 16 starters back from a double-digit win team. Cade Klubnik had like the second or third best odds, not only to win the Heisman, but to go number 1 overall. Now nobody's even talking about him. But Cignetti's done a hell of a job. Dan Lanning does a really good job in the portal, but I think that's how you win now. I mean, shit, Carson Beck said it at the media day. They asked him, they're like, how much schoolwork have you done this week in preparation for the national title game? He's like, I haven't taken a class in 2 years. I graduated 2 years ago. It's pretty much become like the minor leagues of the NFL. It's not even really college football. So, that's what I'm going to pay attention to as a Notre Dame fan. That's what I want Marcus Freeman to do. I mean, he's done a hell of a job recruiting, but you really got to hit on these portal players, and that's what Cignetti's done. That Indiana team is historically good. Great story. I do think Mendoza is going to be the number 1 overall pick, probably deserving of it. But man, Reuben Bain is a stud. I really like him. I said a couple of weeks ago I would have voted for him to win the Heisman. I did have Miami last night, so good result. Indiana winning, but Miami covering was a great result actually for me. But man, yeah, the sport's changed a lot.
Yep, no doubt about that. Okay, so if we look at this right here, first thing that jumps out, sportsoddeshistory.com, friend of the show, and always jumps in my pools. But what jumps out here is last 3 winners. Of course, you've got Big Ten. And then before that, there was a run of 4 straight champions from the SEC. The Big Ten is the best conference in the nation, and I don't know how you can argue that with Indiana, Ohio State, Michigan winning titles the last 3 years. Now, I want to get to Heisman in just a moment, but look at Indiana. Remember where we were in the beginning of the year. And last year, this is a team that makes the playoff. They go to South Bend. They lose handily, but they were an impressive bunch. And people were expecting they can't do that again. They can't do it again. So much so, they said it on the broadcast last night. I'm like, wait, is that real? They were 100-1. I'm like, okay, maybe just preseason and it changed quickly. No, look here. 100-1 preseason, going into week 2, 100-1, week 3, 100-1, week 4, 100-1. Horvey, until they got to week 5, that's when the number starts to drift. 60, then 40, then 30, then week 8, down to 9-1. But this team was available at triple digits for the first month of the year, a good hunk of the season. This kind of tells me, and it could be a one-off, but it kind of tells me that, okay, maybe in that first month, we spend a lot of time about not overreacting too much to a very small sample size. And in that first month, you've got non-conference games. So I understand why people are a little bit hesitant. But if you think you see something that might be real with a long shot, with this playoff format, you probably want to jump right then and there maybe on a couple of teams because things are going to change quickly. And we know more expansion is on the way.
And this is why, I would jump on early odds on 670 with you, the last couple of years, and we would be talking Cubs baseball or Bulls basketball. We'd be talking like Cubs in June or July. And I'd be like, let me tell you about this win total I like in the ACC or this team that I'm buying low on right now. And I'm mad at myself, though, for not taking Indiana 80-1, 100-1, only because I really did like Mendoza last year. Like Cal made me a ton of money last year. And I said, if he actually had a better offensive line or more protection, I think he could be a first-round pick. I didn't know that he was going to be the number 1 overall pick or the Heisman, but I also kept saying, because remember last year, especially in, the summer months, everybody wanted to buy in on Illinois in the Big Ten and compared Illinois to Indiana, which never really made sense because Illinois was coming off double-digit wins. They were a top 15 team, top 10 team coming into the year. Indiana came out of nowhere 2 years ago. But I said, if anybody's going to be last year's Indiana team, it's this year's Indiana team because I think it's even better, man. But I didn't buy in only because, Ohio State, Oregon, I thought Michigan was going to be much improved, which I was wrong. I mean, I liked the defense, but was wrong on the quarterback. But yeah, man, I mean, didn't catch on until way too late. Even against Oregon in that first matchup, that's why I bet the Ducks, only because in the first game, they were 6.5-point favorites against Indiana. Indiana was getting no respect. That'll never be the case ever again. Other than Kirby, it's hard to argue Curt Cignetti isn't the best head coach in the country. Other than Kirby, I definitely think he's the most proven.
Could Kirby Smart have done what Cignetti just did?
No, I don't think so, man. Right? I mean, I think Cignetti is who the national media, college football media, wanted Dan Lanning to be last year and the year before, right? I mean, everybody thought Lanning was the next big thing. Hell of a motivator, but they smoked Oregon. They beat them twice, and Cignetti's the real deal. Watch, Indiana will probably only be better next year. He's going to continue to get these portal players. he comes off as a prick, but you could tell his players love him and he loves his players.
Right.
And everything's so buttoned up. It's like I said in the last pod, they're like a service academy team. When they don't make mistakes, they don't miss tackles. If you're going to beat Indiana, you have to beat them in the trenches. You have to bully them, and nobody's been able to do that. So I don't see them going away anytime soon. And I agree, the Big Ten is the best conference. The SEC could keep beating up on each other, but I think right now it's hard to argue against the Big Ten being the best conference, and I think that'll be the case next year because Ohio State's not going anywhere, and I think Oregon's going to be even better.
Yeah, agree with everything you had to say. So that makes Cignetti the best coach. This is the best coaching job maybe we've ever seen in any sport. Not trying to be Mr. Hyperbole that we see with the talking head sometimes, but that's the reality of the situation. And if you are willing to buy in on Indiana, and you're right, everyone was hunting for the next Indiana. This year's Indiana, the answer was Indiana, which is amazing. There was so much chatter about that easy schedule from the first year that he was there, and then look what happened this past season. Let's get to some of the chatter about the Heisman. And we just showed you the 100-1. Okay, let's look at Mendoza and where he was. Talk about pouncing early. Week 2, 66-1. Week 3, 66-1. And then entering week 4 drops to 25. Then it drops to plus 650. It took a few weeks for people to really believe. And like you mentioned, a portal guy. And this is the reality right now. And you see a lot of quarterbacks that have made movement. You wanted to talk about some of the Heisman numbers, right? So let's do that. And is there any value on the board? Are we at a point now, like, you don't want to look at it and say, oh, because Mendoza won it as a transfer guy, that's what's going to happen every year. But we know most times it's going to end up being a quarterback. Are you looking at only quarterbacks going into this year? Are you looking at guys that transfer? Because we'll pull up the odds here in a second. It doesn't feel like with the portal guys, and maybe you're up against it with the portal guys because that's the buzz. Okay, who moved? Who's going to be the next guy to stand up in his new spot? And maybe he wasn't respected as much in his last spot. And a lot of these top portal guys, they have very short numbers.
Yeah, they do. I want to see Hoover's number, but honestly, there's a couple. I liked Mendoza this year. A couple of years ago, I really liked Jaden Daniels. Anything better than 25-1 in that offense with those wide receivers. But right now, looking at this board, it is quarterbacks for me. I am going to buy in on Texas next year and Arch Manning. I really like what I saw the second half of the season. If I had the number one overall pick, Arch was coming out, it would be hard. I think he has the highest ceiling. I know there was some bad tape, but there was also a lot of good. And he's so young, man. And they didn't have any run game. I mean, he was their leading rusher. If you give him a strong run game and they're actually able to protect him, he's not running for his life. I do like Arch. That wouldn't be my bet. I would rather bet though CJ Carr at 8-1 than Notre Dame to win the national title. I do think that they win double-digit games. And as a Notre Dame fan, I think the pressure is going to be on. Last night I said this because Marcus Freeman, you're just watching him during the broadcast. And I eventually think he's going to be an NFL head coach, especially when I look at these names that are available right now. I look at Robert Saleh get hired last night. I think that the offer is going to be too good to refuse. So big year, a lot of pressure on Notre Dame. And I like CJ Carr this year. It's not the juiciest price, but Dante Moore at 13-1 for Oregon, I really do like. I think they're going to have a top 10 offense next year. He had the second best odds to be the number one overall pick. He was probably going to go second as far as quarterbacks, right behind Mendoza. Didn't have a very good playoff game. And I like the pieces that they're bringing back. And they're going to have a really good offensive line. So at 13-1, that would probably be my look right now, would be Dante Moore, down to 11-1 right now at FanDuel. Hoover's interesting just because it's going to be the same offensive system that we just saw Mendoza win a Heisman with. Sam Levitt's intriguing. Mateer I'm going to stay away from just because he can't throw the football. But man, 13-1 or 11-1 even. I do like Dante Moore a little bit.
Yeah, here's the Blue Book numbers over at FanDuel. You mentioned Carr and Manning off the top, and those are the top two favorites. Carr plus 800, Arch Manning plus 850. As well as I do, just don't bet the favorites. Just don't do that. Because those guys, they blow up for some reason. And interesting, Arch went through his struggles, got better as the season went along, but he's still there at the very top. Remember, he started the season as a favorite, just kept dropping, and he's back there again with a little bit of experience. Jeremiah Smith, Julian Sayin, you got the Ohio State guys. You mentioned Hoover there. His number is going to drop. More, same number, 11-1 with all of those guys. That makes a lot of sense. Levitt, he's now LSU. You mentioned Mateer, popular name. I'm moving down the board a little bit to see if anything stands out. Mayava's in that 20-1 range. Sorsby, he moved on too. He's in a better situation, right? He's going to Texas Tech. So you got that defense to back it up. Maybe the second year, maybe it's an Indiana situation where they really break through. Is it a waste of money to put anything on Raiola at 40-1 heading over to Oregon?
No, I mean, just because like
you just need the injury.
Yeah, I mean, that's what you're banking in on. I would probably
Why is he going there?
Just probably to go the same route that Dante Moore went. Right? Moore sat for a year, learned the system. It is a great offensive system. It saved Bo Nix, right? I mean, Bo Nix at Auburn, especially on the road, was an absolute nightmare. Goes to Oregon, plays 2 years in their system, the Wilstein system, and he completes 70% of his passes. Dante Moore, and that's why I really like that number on Moore, man, if he could stay healthy. This year, he's got to limit the turnovers. He threw 10 picks, but he threw 30 touchdown passes, tied for 6th in the country. 3,565 yards, tied for 12th in the country. QBR, 78.5. He limits those turnovers, I could see him throwing 35 to 40 touchdowns. I mean, he's still so young. I really do like Moore. I would want a better number, but I just don't think that you ever get a better number, right? Especially if Oregon kills it here in the portal, like Dan Lanning has done. We get closer to the season. They start off with a cupcake schedule. They start 3-0, 4-0. That number probably dips. But yeah, I would look at the two quarterbacks, but I don't think we see Raiola this year, especially coming off the injury.
Yeah, that makes sense. Moore, I like that. I'm surprised that he's staying there. And if you look right now, that might be the best number. Don't you think once we get to spring that's going to be a much shorter number?
I do, and especially when you look at how they start their season this year as well, man. I mean, I think they're, at worst, probably a 12-win football team. I think they probably finish with a loss, maybe 2 losses at most. I don't know. I think they're going to run the table. There's also going to be a lot of pressure on Dan Lanning, especially with Ohio State winning last year, Ryan Day getting the championship. And then this year, Cignetti winning it year 2 at Indiana. There's going to be a ton of pressure on Lanning. So I don't think that we get a better number. I think 13-1, 11-1, if you shop around, probably the best price you're going to get on Moore. Again, I get hunting for a 50-1, 75-1, even like Travis Hunter. Looking for the next Joe Burrow, 150-1, 250-1 to start the year. I just don't know that it's going to be there this year. I think the best value pick would be Sorsby. I just don't know that they're going to let him pad the stats at Texas Tech, especially with that defense. It's probably going to be more build a lead, run the ball in the second half, where at Oregon, even when they have big leads, they don't really take their foot off the gas.
Yep.
They pad the stats there.
So nothing on Lagway, huh?
No, absolutely not. No, which I never bought into him, but I did. One of the dumbest bets that I ever placed as far as the Heisman market, Avery Johnson, another guy. Next year,
I did too. I took a super long shot on him.
And Mateer too. I had Mateer 28-1. I need a guy that could actually complete passes, that could throw a forward pass. These running quarterbacks are great when you're padding the numbers early on, but then in the big games, you got to be able to complete a ball 15 yards down the field. So no Mateer for me, no Lagway. I'm sticking with the guys that can actually push the ball down the field. And I did, Arch can make some throws, man. He makes some plays, and you're like, okay, this is why he was the Heisman favorite or considered to be the number 1 overall pick. But then he misses some throws, and he just looks like a mess. He's so young, though. So I like his ceiling. I just don't like his price. And like you said, never bet the favorites. in this market.
Never. And we'll see. There are way too many names. Look at all these names that are 11 and 13 and then the 8s. It's like, come on, give us something here. There are no tiers. They haven't figured that out. We got a long time for that. Before we jump to the NFL, quickly, is there anything championship wise, or maybe a team back of your mind, maybe it's going to be conference win total that you're going to be on? You like the direction they're going, maybe change head coach, or you trust a coach? Anything there just right after the championship, kind of gut reaction, or do we need time?
Nothing really. I want to see what Michigan's win total is going to be, because I think that they're going to be a disaster next year. I might buy in on USC. Really big year for Lincoln Riley. I liked this roster and this team. I think I'm not going to say they're a dark horse because it's USC, but I think they could be a double-digit win team, a college football playoff team. USC, they kind of changed. It was more like his first couple teams at Oklahoma, where they could run the football. So that's probably a team that I'm going to look at. And Oregon, man, especially with Dante Moore coming back, I think that that's probably going to be, as far as futures, I like Oregon, and I really do like Notre Dame next year. I don't want to sound like a homer, but a lot of pressure. I do think it might be the last year for Marcus, and then I think he's probably in the NFL. I like CJ Carr. They're going to lose some really good players, obviously, but I think Notre Dame and Oregon are the two teams that I have circled for next year. But yeah. And of course, we got to fade Penn State. Even without James Franklin, I think they'll be a mess.
Shop around. We were discussing this a little bit before the show, and then the first book that I pulled up is like, oh, Notre Dame's a co-favorite at plus 650. And then you start to look around like, oh, wait, no, there are books out there offering better than double those numbers. Like, you could still find a 14-1 right now on Notre Dame if that's your team. So whatever your team is, make sure you shop around, especially if it's this early and the market hasn't settled.
I will say the last thing I'll say, man, in the Big 12, I will like Tech more than I liked them coming into this year. The defense is going to be really good. They pumped in so much money. They pumped in $250 million for the stadium upgrade. So I think they're going to spend a ton of money. I like Sorsby. And that was the reason we got to the playoff. Morton stunk. But if you have a quarterback that, again, could actually, complete some passes, that helps. And that takes the pressure off your run game as well. So Texas Tech, I'll probably be buying in on in the Big 12. And Oregon and Notre Dame for sure. I like their rosters.
This isn't going to happen every year, but as someone that is constantly looking for value in the futures market, and I do play long shots, and once in a while I'll hit one, and I'm hoping I hit one in a couple of weeks with JSN for OPOY. This is exciting. It's not going to happen every single year, but the issue with college football, it's not perfect. We're far from that. There are still some things that are bothersome to a lot of college football fans. But the exciting thing is we had two massive long shots hit this year. It's open, right? We were complaining so much. Yeah, we love college football, but the problem is the regular season actually means more than the playoff and the championship. And the list of teams that can win the championship is probably on one hand. It's 4 or 5. Now, 2 hands, 3, I don't know. Like, it's wide open. I tell you, 2 years ago, Indiana's going to win the college football championship. You tell me to go to the hospital and get tested for drugs, right?
Yeah. I mean, and a couple of years ago, granted, they got blown out in the championship game, but TCU makes that run. Washington with Kalen DeBoer and Michael Penix and Roma Dunze and all those portal players, they make that run. So it's just changed so much. It used to be, well, we don't want to expand the college football playoff because we don't want to see these teams on a neutral field against Georgia or Alabama, all these SEC teams. But look what's been happening, man, especially against the Big Ten. These SEC schools, they've been getting pounded. So, I do think that there's going to continue to be value because college football's just changed so much, man. And I think that every once in a while, you're going to get one of these examples like Indiana this year.
Yep. All right. Let's transition over to the NFL. Horvy, Cluck and Cover. Ryan Horvat, Joe Ostrowski with you. Of course, we'll get to Championship Sunday in a little bit. One game, the number is settled. One game, not at all. Trying to figure that one out. I'm sure you could guess which game I'm talking about before we get there in a few minutes. You want to talk about the coaching carousel. You've got Miami. They hire your guy, the defensive coordinator from the Green Bay Packers in Halfley. Atlanta, they strike early with Stefanski. The Giants land Harbaugh. He was the big fish that a lot of teams were hoping to get. And then the latest one before we start here, Saleh going to the Tennessee Titans. Predictably, all of these teams decide, oh, we have an offensive guy, let's go defense. We have a defensive guy, let's go offense. Oh, let's go offense to a guy with the special teams background in Harbaugh. And you've got a bunch of openings. Some are really good openings with awesome quarterbacks. Lamar Jackson does not have a head coach. Josh Allen does not have a head coach. And there are some other jobs that are near the bottom that will probably either, go to the mid-tier or they'll be the last one to hire their coaches. What hire search do you want to discuss?
Man, so I kept joking throughout the season, and we figured it was going to happen, but I thought it might take a year. I said Robert Saleh has done such a good job with this beat-up defense in San Francisco that somebody is going to hire him, and it's going to be a big, big mistake. And I like Saleh as a coordinator, and I'm not saying he has no business being a head coach because it's hard to pin the whole Jets debacle on him. But, man, I don't like this hire. Depending who the OC is, you got Cam Ward, number 1 overall pick, rookie quarterback who had some struggles. I wanted an offensive-minded head coach. I mean, Stefanski was gone, but I would have loved Stefanski for Cam Ward. That's what I worry about, man. Defensive-minded head coach. Sure, the defense should be improved if they spend some money and they hit on their draft picks. But unless you really knock it out of the park, like Washington, year 1 with Jaden Daniels. Mm-hmm. They hire Quinn, gets the most out of a not-so-talented defense, and Cliff Kingsbury was in his bag because he was on a beach for 4 years, and if he wasn't in his bag, he was going to be back on that beach. But unless they knock it out of the park, kind of like Vrabel bringing in McDaniels, I don't know about this hire, man. A defensive-minded head coach, when you're trying to get the most out of your quarterback on a rookie contract, I don't love. I get why the people in Baltimore were sick of Harbaugh, but I think that's a great hire for the Giants. And the Giants were fun and competitive before the Scadaboo injury. You're going to get Malik Neighbors back. There's a ton of talent on that defensive line. The defense shouldn't be so bad. I don't know that I buy in on Jackson Dart as the guy. Is he fun? Could he make some plays? Yes, but he was concussed 5 or 6 times.
It's going to keep happening.
Is he a pocket passer? I don't know, but I do like that hire. And then Buffalo, what's funny about Buffalo, man? And we even said it on the last podcast. If they don't win at all, or at least get to the AFC Championship game, McDermott's probably done. Mm-hmm. I would have fired him a couple of years ago. Can't really pin that loss on him. And it was like I was saying with Green Bay, because I get why people are sick of LaFleur, but who are you going to bring in that's an upgrade? I don't love this cycle. Like last year, if you fire him or you fire Harbaugh, for Baltimore, you're able to bring in a Ben Johnson, maybe, or a Liam Cohen or a Mike Vrabel. I just don't love these names, man. So that's why I don't know where Buffalo goes from here or Baltimore, but I really think that Tennessee screwed up for Cam Ward. We'll see. Maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah, this year's cycle, this is what I was looking ahead at. I'm like, okay, before you had all these firings, when I keep hearing Matt Nagy's name being mentioned as getting a job, the fucking cycle blows.
Yes.
Stop. Maybe you could put off one more year. And for Bean to stay and get promoted. And look, I was with you on McDermott. We agreed. I thought about firing him in previous seasons. But the choice to keep him and promote him failing upwards, I thought that was baffling. I don't know that I can trust this organization moving forward when you make a decision like that. I respect the McDermott move, but I don't understand what you're doing with Bean. I guess you're looking for some stability in the organization, but look at the talent. There's not a lot of talent on that roster. Josh Allen holds everything up all by himself. That game may have been his fault, but he is holding the organization up all by himself, man. It's really, really interesting what's going to happen. Here's what stands out to me. Patrick Mahomes, in a year where everything went wrong and the Chiefs don't make the playoffs, is still running things.
Yep.
Because these teams freaked out. Patrick Mahomes didn't make the playoffs. Here's your opportunity. to make a run. And if you didn't make a run, you're probably getting fired if you've been there a long time. That's what happened, right? I mean, that's part of it in Buffalo and Baltimore. And there are other aspects, of course, but here's your opportunity. It's on a silver platter. And then you didn't make as much of a deep run as you were hoping. So there's going to be a lot of changes. You know, Clint Kubiak seems like the hot name, right? Of the jobs left, we've got 6 of them. Like, that's the name that keeps popping up. The defensive minds that I hear about, I don't know, like you, I've got a lot of hesitation, but I'm sure Shula will get a job as well because we know the story with McVay assistants.
Yep. That coaching tree, man. So I'm sure he gets a job. I probably like Kubiak the best. You know, I guess Brian Flores, he at least intrigues me because I really do like his defensive scheme. And you could say he didn't have a fair shake because of Tua, and he didn't want Tua as his starting quarterback. But yeah, man, none of these defensive-minded guys, these defensive coaches really jump off the page for me. And you're right. When we're talking Matt Nagy or Mike LaFleur or Mike Tomlin or, you know, any of these guys, really, Mike McCarthy's name keeps popping up. I'm not in love with any of these guys, man. Joe Brady. So we'll see what Buffalo is able to do because this was a big year. But like you said, man, they just didn't have the roster. And Josh Allen doesn't get a free pass. And I love Josh Allen.
Nope.
He's my favorite quarterback to watch every single Sunday, but he was brutal. You can't turn the football over 3-4 times in a game. You know, so that one was on him, which he felt terrible for him. I just don't know how and if and when they do get over the hump. But yeah, they got a real talent issue. Baltimore has the talent. I mean, the defense was rough to start the season. And I wouldn't hate them going out and getting a stud wide receiver for Lamar Jackson. But we'll see what they end up doing, man. Because, again, I don't love any of these names for either team.
All right, let's take a quick look before we hit Championship Sunday. Here's Dave Mason's book. It's like the only on this. Certainly give them credit. Here we go. Alphabetical order. Arizona Cardinals. Next head coach. The favorite, Vance Joseph, -150. And there's McDermott, the second favorite, +225. We failed to mention, he's going to get a job. Very well could. I want to get back to Buffalo because that's the most intriguing one. Vegas, Kubiak's the favorite, +175. Jesse Minter, second, +300. McDermott's name pops again. Cleveland, they're probably going to get the last choice. Man, you forget Mike McDaniels out there as well, and, Munkin could be a guy, but this Buffalo one, it feels like a lot of the names that keep popping up, ties to the Bills. You've got Clint Kubiak +200, Davis freaking Webb +250, Brian Daboll, want to come back to Buffalo, +265, Joe Brady, the OC, +550. There's Chris Shula, there's Mike McCarthy. Feels like the Bills could do anything here, Horvey. What do you think?
They could do anything. The one that would shock me would be Mike McCarthy in the year 2000.
He should not get a job. He shouldn't get any of these 6 jobs.
God, no. What's funny is I actually liked his coaching job that last year in Dallas, but I'm not a McCarthy guy. As a Packer fan, I can tell you that would be a brutal hire. I think Kubiak's probably their best move. I just couldn't see Daboll going back in coaching the Bills. I couldn't see that happening, man. So they really could do anything. The only thing that would really surprise me would be Mike McCarthy. In Arizona, going back to them really quick, I think Arizona, you got to go offensive-minded head coach. You just had Jonathan Gannon. You just had your defensive guy. You spent all that money on defense the last 2 years, all those draft picks. We'll see. Do they keep Kyler? Because now that you're bringing in a new coaching staff, if you go offense, who could get the most out of him? Yeah. I don't know. I bought in on Arizona this year. That was my buy low team, man, and God, was I off on them. But we'll see. I don't like any of these names. So Buffalo, your window it's getting shorter and shorter. So they're going to have to knock it out of the park with this one. And I don't know. I think Kubiak's probably their best choice, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Here's the thing, though. Now you got to wait. Now you're in a waiting game. You got to wait a long time, I think. We'll see if they end up winning. Now, if they lose on Championship Sunday, maybe you don't have to wait. Let's go there, Horvey. The people want to get your picks. It is early in the week. I'll give my official pick picks, side, total, props, all that tomorrow on Chicken Dinner with Sam Panayotovich. That'll be a lot of fun. That will be up there on Thursday morning. As long as we're talking about Kubiak, let's go to the Seattle Seahawks at home against the LA Rams. I think we're all believing that this will be the more exciting of the two games. This has not budged, not moving one iota, man. It feels like I don't know that it's going to budge over the next few days either. Seahawks -2.5 against the LA Rams. Total not moving, 47 and the hook. The two matchups in the regular season, week 11, the Rams got by in a close game, 21-19. And then in week 16, Seattle got by in overtime, a shootout, 38-37. The Seahawks were a slight dog there. A lot to get into with those games, but we know it doesn't mean we're going to know the result. Those results were very funky, which I do want to get into. Horvey, what are you thinking? Seattle -2.5 total, 47 in the hook in the NFC Championship.
So, man, coming into the year, did like this Rams team. Thought they were a little too popular for me. But the defense, I love the first 8 weeks of the season. And I am a McVay guy. Obviously, Stafford most likely going to be your MVP. Devontae Adams, even at 32, 33, whatever he is, years old, still one of the better route runners. I know he's a little bit beat up right now. Puka Nacua, top receiver in the league. I like their run game. Would have really liked the run game last week if they could have got Blake Corum in the end zone. Fuck you, Kyron Williams. But I got to be honest, man, I love Seattle in this spot here. 2.5. Okay. I'm looking at the money line right now. The best price, -145. I'm comfortable with anything under 3. As flashy as this Rams team is, and as much as I love McVay, I love the McDonald hire a couple of years ago. Love what he did in Baltimore. That was a historically good defense. You want to talk about really screwing yourself against the Chiefs, man. They had the Chiefs at home in a game where they were averaging 6 yards per carry. And for whatever reason, Harbaugh allows Monken to drop Lamar back 38 plus times in that game. But McDonald's the real deal. And as much as I like Stafford in this Rams offense, in the playoffs here, the first 2 games, they've really struggled, man. They have a 31.8% successful play rate on offense. If you look at the 14 playoff teams, they're ranked 10th. And they've won against Carolina's defense and the Bears defense, both ranked below league average in EPA per play allowed during the regular season. Mike McDonald's defense is top 5, both against the run and against the pass, which is why when we talked about Super Bowl futures, we looked at Will Anderson, who, man, if CJ Stroud didn't completely piss the bed, Will Anderson was a beast in that game, man. And if Houston gets to the Super Bowl, I really like that 150-1 price. But we also talked about Devin Witherspoon and some of these pass rushers in Seattle. And then on the offensive side of the ball, everybody's going to bring up Sam Darnold. As long as he doesn't go out there and throw have a Nathan Peterman type game where he turns the ball over 4 or 5 times, I think Seattle's offense is going to be able to do enough. Even with the Charbonnet injury, I really do like Kenneth Walker. You brought up JSN and his offensive player of the year prices in the beginning of the year. I think he's the best receiver, and I think he should win that award. And I think Seattle's the side here. I think they'll score enough points to win this game. So I'm going to stay away from the total. I have no opinion there. But I like the Seahawks at home in this spot. I can't believe I'm saying that because I just didn't buy in coming into the year. It was a weird offseason. But all the moves they made were the right moves. You move on from Geno Smith, who was a fucking disaster. And, man, this team, they're clicking on all cylinders. I know it's a 1-game sample size, but it's hard to get that game out of the game against San Francisco out of my head. And the Niners defense was beat up. They didn't have George Kittle, but they're playing with some confidence right now, man. I like Seattle here. What about you?
Yeah. I'm torn, man. Yeah. I was on them against San Francisco, and I was very happy to see what happened because there are a lot of doubters about Sam Darnold going into that game. And then late in the week, the injury thing pops up. I'm like, are you kidding me? Come on. I'm already in on the 7. Let's go. And domination. It felt like it was going to be the game where everything just fell apart for San Francisco. We were waiting on it, and it did finally happen. So I was happy to see that. But I will say, as someone that has defended Darnold this year, did not like him coming into the year, but he's proven enough, man. It's been 2 years of this, of us doubting Sam Darnold, and he proves people wrong. And then it was, well, that's the regular season. Let's see the playoffs. Gets a massive playoff win against a division opponent. And now they're facing a different division opponent. Does it spook you that in these two games, and it kind of fair to bring up Darnold now? 6 interceptions in 2 games against this Rams defense. 6. Like, I think, maybe 2 touchdowns, because the second one, I think he had a couple touchdowns, couple interceptions. It's been weird. Like, I'm very cautious about looking at the results in the regular season and taking too much from it, because week 11, when the Rams won, Seattle outgained them by over 160 yards, and they lost because of the Darnold 4 picks. And then in week 16, when Seattle won in overtime, the Rams outgained them by 166 yards. They had almost 600 yards of offense. Like, Puka had 225 against this defense. Like, nobody's been doing that all year. So that kind of scares me a little bit. I will say my official pick's not in. I am leaning Rams, even though I've been a big Seahawks and Darnold guy this year.
It does seem like almost a good time to, buy low on the Rams, just because Matthew Stafford has not been the Matthew Stafford that we saw all regular season, right? Even against Carolina and against Chicago, some turnover-worthy plays, meaning, watch, he's probably going to torch this Seattle defense like he did in that first matchup that you brought up. And I know that the game went to overtime, but man, even against this top 10 defense, he threw for 457 yards and 3 touchdowns.
Insane.
That actually concerns me a little bit more than Darnold's play, right? Like that first matchup, if Darnold plays like that, 270 passing yards, 2 touchdowns, 2 picks, and Kenneth Walker is able to rush for 100 yards and score a touchdown again, and JSN has 96 yards and a touchdown, I think that's enough for Seattle to win. I don't think Sam Darnold's going to do what he did on that November 16th matchup where he turned the ball over 4 times. But what scares me more is, do we get the regular season MVP version of Matthew Stafford? Because if he goes for 350 to 400 yards, Rams are winning this game. So I was going back and forth, really the last 2 days, but I'm going to settle on Seattle. I like the way that they're trending. I like this team. I like McDonald. It's scary betting against McVay. Already 10 playoff wins. He's not even 40 years old. He's 39 years old, man. Guy's a living legend, but I'm going to bet the Seahawks here in this spot. We said it last pod too. I think this price is a little off. Like, they're good. They should be the favorites, but I was a little surprised to see them, not even 4-1, but I think it's about right. I think they're the real deal.
Quickly, any props to throw out there?
No, nothing yet on this one, man. The one that I looked at on the jump here, I actually wrote it down, is Kenneth Walker rush attempts 21.5. I know
what he did last week. I could see that, where they lean on that a little bit, and plus Darnold with the interceptions against this defense, maybe they lean more run heavy.
Yeah, I thought I was leaning under, but the under right now, -130 is the best price over at MGM. So I'm going to stay away from that. And then Darnold, 19.5 passing completions, -115 to the over. I thought this would be in the low 20s, 20.5 to 22.5. I'm probably going to go over on the completions on Darnold. If I like Seattle, he's going to have to complete at least 20 balls in this one. So probably Darnold props and then the Seahawks for me.
Okay, it'll be interesting. Is it going to be a shootout like the last time, or a lower scoring affair like the first? I don't know. I don't either. That's going to be, I think, a really, really good game. Stafford did not play well in Chicago. I know the elements and all that, but he certainly did not have a good game against let's call him subpar defense in the Bears. Couldn't believe the way that side of the ball played for them. All right, AFC Championship. This is the one, Horvey, where the market has not settled at all. It's kind of like, okay, whatever number you want, whatever side you're on, you're going to get a little bit of an edge. I know 5 isn't the most important number in the world, but let's look around here. AFC Championship, Patriots, obviously the favorite due to the quarterback situation. Some of the books in Vegas, you see circa 4.5. Buckeye, a sharp book, that's 4.5. And then Heritage 5, Pinnacle 5.5. Your domestic books, Bet365 5.5, BetMGM 5. You see Caesars at 4.5. So anywhere from 4.5 to 5.5, that's the number. New England and Denver. I mean, it jumped to 5.5 quickly. It made me think, whoa, are we going to 6-7 territory because of the backup quarterback at Stidham? What say you?
Yeah, so I haven't bet this one yet, because you're right. I mean, the market hasn't settled here. I want to see. I don't want to bet a shitty number, but I really like Denver. Money line right now, plus 210. If we did get the 6, this might be my biggest bet of the playoffs, which is scary because it's Jarrett Stidham, dude. But again, I'm not the biggest trends guy. Broncos opening this 5.5-point home dogs. That's the largest home dog in a conference championship game since the 1970 merger. And the largest since Browns Colts. I'm looking at it right now, 68. So home dogs of 4+ points, 9-0 against the number over the last 50 years, including the Panthers, who were 10.5. I think they closed 10 against the Rams in the wild card. They covered. They had the shot to win that game. I mean, the Patriots, I've been wrong on them all year, though. I went under 8.5 wins. I thought that was just too big of an adjustment. They were 80-1 to win the Super Bowl. I wish I would have taken a stab because I am a Drake May guy. Mm-hmm. But this is all about the number for me, man. The Broncos on the look ahead before the Bo Nix injury, they were 1.5-point favorites. And I'm not a Bo Nix guy. So I get all my narratives here. I get that the Patriots were gifted a pretty easy schedule. Pretty easy path here to the AFC Championship game. And I also get my narrative that I think Sean Payton's a hell of a coach. I love this Broncos defense, but I'm just not sold on Bo Nix. So I think Jarrett Stidham, especially because there's not a whole lot of tape of what they want to do with him, I think that he's probably serviceable enough to win this game, man. I mean, this is almost a 7-point swing, a 6-point swing with Jarrett Stidham. And I think Denver has the best unit in this game, and it's their defense. I know that they were a little shaky against Buffalo, and they gave up some explosive plays, but I'm not in love with the Patriots' pass protection, especially Will Campbell. Really good during the regular season. I think he only gave up a couple of sacks, but since coming back from the injury, he's struggled the last 3 weeks, and Denver just doesn't give up explosive plays. And that's what I like so much about Drake May and why I like them so much at Carolina. He pushes the ball down the field. They're aggressive. I know they could run the ball, but they want to take shots down the field. And the Broncos just don't give up those explosive plays. The other thing is the Patriots defense is balled out in the playoffs, and I've liked their pass rush. But look who they've won against. The Chargers without both tackles and the Texans, who really struggled in that game to protect C.J. Stroud. The Broncos have a top 5 offensive line, a really good offensive line. So I like Denver in this game to at least cover the number. I think they got a shot to win it with that defense with home field advantage. But I say this and watch New England will win by 10+ points because they've fucked me all season long. But I'm going to bet the Broncos.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. I'm really sick of being wrong about the Patriots. Yeah. I really am. But so do we go down all the way to the very end, or do we just kind of step away and be like, you know what? It's just a weird year, man. Drake May, almost the MVP, I think he's second. We'll see. I mean, crazy. I heard somebody say Patriots Super Bowl before the year. I laughed at him.
Same. Laughed at him. 80-1. Yeah. 80-1 was the price. But that's the thing, man. I could be wrong, but it's the same way that I thought about last night's game, the national title game. I really like Miami. I said there's just too much talent on both sides of the ball for them to be a 7.5-point dog here. It had nothing to do with the home field, the game being played in Miami, because we saw last night the Indiana fans traveled. That was like 70-30 Indiana fans. Yeah. But it's just, I took Oregon, and I was wrong. And I saw that on the first play of the game because Dante Moore throws that pick 6. But I said, I got to go back to the well next week. Indiana's a very good football team, but I'm not betting a team against them. I'm betting a price. I'm taking a number against them. And I think 4.5, 5.5, shit, if we get to 6, that's going to be a really big bet. I think Denver, even without Bo Nix, with Sean Payton, I think they're good enough and talented enough to keep this game within a field goal. So I think the number is getting a little out of hand. Again, You're not going to find crazy value when there's only 2 games, especially in the NFL, right? The market is so tight. So it's not a huge advantage, but I like the Broncos with this defense, man. Nobody's going to give them a chance. I think they could win this game outright.
All right. Short favorite in Seattle, bigger dog, home dog, Denver in the AFC Championship for our guy, Horvy. Don't forget to support our friends over at Splash Sports, splashsports.com. Check out the Splash Sports app, and they've got quick picks. What are quick picks? Player props. Same exact thing. Use the promo code DINNER, and new users on quick picks will get a $50 deposit match. And if it's your first quick pick slip, a 100% profit boost with the promo code DINNER. Check it out over at Splash Sports. All right, Horvy, Cluck and Cover. We're all set. Seattle and Denver, we are all set as well. So next week, are you thinking we'll have the Super Bowl? We'll start to talk about it, and props will start to get released and all that. But Are you thinking more college hoops or some of these MLB futures that are popping?
Might have to take a look at some MLB futures. We'll dive into a little bit of college hoops. The one thing I'm going to avoid here, at least for the next couple of weeks, our guy Rick Camp has been sending me over some props. Thank God that we've had some success with. I've been getting torched in the NBA. On Monday, I bet a daytime game. I took the Cavs, who have been a little bit of a disappointment, faded the Thunder, who haven't been playing very well the last 2 weeks of the season. They were 5.5-point dogs. Didn't tune into the game until the fourth quarter. They were down 32. So we're going to pump the brakes a little bit on the NBA. I'll dive into some college hoops, but I'm really excited for the baseball season, man. We talked obviously about the Cubs, but I've been looking at some of these futures, and I'm really excited.
See, people are bitching, oh, the Dodgers, they're ruining baseball. They're just going to win it all again. And they're like, you can't even bet anybody. You sure?
You can.
3 straight, huh? You're banking on 3 straight in this sport? Doesn't happen very often. I don't know. I'd be willing to go against that. I'm fine with it.
Same here. Here. Injuries happen. I mean, look at that rotation to start the season. Let's say that those injuries happen on the back half of the season, the second half of the season, and you lose guys like Glass now and Ohtani. It's a different story. I mean, they kind of lucked out, suffering all those injuries earlier because all those guys were healthy for the stretch run. I mean, shit, they didn't even need Kershaw for his final season. So I'm going to try to beat them too. Also, wouldn't shock me if they won 3 in a row because Shohei Ohtani is the best player in Major League Baseball history. Guy's clutch.
No doubt. But it is a sport where, guess what? The best team doesn't always win.
Right.
It's not like the NBA. Best team does not always win, even in a series. All right. If you're still with us, especially over on YouTube, give us a thumbs up. If you're on podcast, go to the YouTube. Give us a thumbs up. We would appreciate it. It helps us with the algorithm. And if you watch this show, the longer you watch this show, that helps us as well. Supporting us. In the comments, make sure you give us some feedback. Maybe you've got a thought on a Heisman winner, early college football team that we should talk about, the hiring cycle. Get in the comments as well. I will be back tomorrow, chicken dinner, with my guy Sam Panayonovich, and scheduled for the Thursday episode of Chicken Dinner heading into Championship Sunday. We've got Kelly in Vegas. She'll be dropping by, and Ian Harditz will be here to give his favorite player props of the week for Championship Sunday. That will be a lot of fun. Horvie, let's do this again next week on Cluck and Cover, all right?
Perfect. Let's do it, man. Good luck this weekend.